I'm not much of a collector. I think that, given my age, that most people would be surprised at how little has accumulated in my life, how few things actually take up space in my life. I will say that I have always collected friendships ever since I was a kid. Now, they don't take up much space, not in closets or on bookshelves. When I was 5 years old, my mom used to send me to the grocery store. She stayed at home with 3 little sisters, and she'd send me down the street. She'd write a list of things on the back of an envelope and then put a little money inside, and then I would run down the street and around the corner to Mrs. Dodge's grocery store. It was one of those perfect little small neighborhood groceries, just slotted right in between a barber shop and a drugstore. You went in, there was floor-to-ceiling shelves on one side with canned goods and packages of different things that I didn't know about. And there was a counter, and Mrs. Dodge would stand behind there, usually with a broom in her hand. And she had her gray hair swept up in a bun. And she would look at the list of the things that I needed, and she'd put it all in a little bag, and then she'd drop my change in the bag. And then she would give me a treat for being a helpful boy. Usually it was a piece of candy or something. But one time she gave me something a little different. Mrs. Dodge sold fresh bread, came packaged in these cellophane wrappers, and in the bottom there was this cardboard tray, a thin cardboard tray, and on the bottom of the tray there was a drawing of a jolly king. He had a crown, and he had a big smile, and he was wearing an apron. He had one hand on his hip, and the other one was permanently waving. Mrs. Dodge pulled that little cardboard layer out of the bottom there, and she conjured up some scissors out of her apron, some magic there, and cut around the shape of the king and freed him from the cardboard. And then she gave it to me. And I was delighted. I was so thrilled. All the way home, I'm holding my little grocery bag in one hand, and I'm talking to the king, saying whatever it is little 5-year-old boys to say, just nothing. All the way home. And when I got back, I put the king in a place of honor in my bedroom. A few weeks later, I was back in Mrs. Dodge's grocery store, and I was with my mom and my 3 sisters. And I asked my mom for a piece of candy, and she said no. And so I turned to my friend and my ally, Mrs. Dodge. And she said, "Now, David, your mother said no." And I was betrayed. The rage, just 5-year-old rage, just boiled up over me. I just turned around and ran out the door, ignoring my mom yelling after me. I ran all the way down the street to our house, into the house, grabbed the little king out of my bedroom, sprinted all the way back and burst into Mrs. Dodge's store and slammed the jolly king down on the counter. My face was just flush red. My eyes were brimming with tears, and I didn't say anything. And Mrs. Dodge looked at me, and she knew exactly what I was thinking. And then I turned around and I ran out. My family moved away from the neighborhood, and time passed, and life offered more good than bad in the years. But about 15 years later, for some reason, I was in the newspaper. I had changed a lot in 15 years. I had long hair and a beard, and I was different in a lot of ways. Only a good friend would have recognized me, and a good friend did. And a week or so later, I got an envelope in the mail, and inside there was a copy of the newspaper article, and there was a note from Mrs. Dodge saying how proud she was of me. And all that was wrapped around a jolly king. And as soon as I could, I went back to the old neighborhood to see Mrs. Dodge, and the people in the store told me that she couldn't work anymore. The last time they had robbed her, they put her in the walk-in freezer, and she just couldn't manage any longer. Life went on, and more good than bad happened. I thought of Mrs. Dodge every once in a while, but then there was this special moment. Another 15 years. I was sitting on the floor with my children. We were looking around this shoebox filled with photographs. They wanted to see what I looked like when I was their age. And there amongst the black and white litter was an envelope. Now, as a parent, there's nothing more that I want for my kids than to have friends. Friends to play with, friends to grow up with, friends who might care for them from 30 years away. And so this was a perfect message. I slid out the things inside the envelope, and there was a yellowed newspaper article and a note from Mrs. Dodge saying how proud she was of me. And all of that wrapped around the Jolly King, an emblem of patience and kindness and forgiveness. 3 really strong elements of friendship. And I could say to my kids to look for that and give that in the friendships that you make. Now, there's going to come a time when I'm gone, and someone is going to go through my things, and they will notice how meager they are. They'll wonder why this tattered book, and why this odd-shaped stone, and why this one painting. But I think when they come to Mrs. Dodge's envelope, they will know why I kept it all the rest of my life. And they'll also know about the friendship that took up all that space in my heart. Thank you.